Hello guys, my name is Alec Candiotis and I'm one of the co-founders of MyBI. I want to give you a quick overview of the MyCustomers app. The purpose of this app is to enhance and improve your ability to issue customer documentation and also to give your sales team the ability to also issue these types of documentation without having the need to have licensing to Pastel. It is delivered through Dropbox, meaning that they can actually have access from anywhere because it synchronizes to their computer. We're going to go to the app. The app operates within Excel, and it populates information directly from the master file information from the relevant Pastel database. Right? So here we're working with this specific Pastel database, and I'll go there now to show you. Firstly, let's say, for instance, you know that any quotation or any document to customers usually as a salesperson. All right. So salespeople is loaded in Pastel under Edit, Customers, and Sales Analysis codes. So here we've got some people that we've loaded as salespeople. This, by the way, is just one of my companies, just as the demo. So here, if we go through it, it's listed in alphabetic order. There we go. So we're going to go back here, and you'll see that the same happens over here. So the first one there is the same one as you just saw in the Pastel environment. Then the document type, I'm going to select. This is very Pastel language. Anybody who's familiar with Pastel would know this. It's quotation, sales orders, and invoice. I'm going to do a quotation here. Now to have your customer name. So you'd know that you have loaded in your Pastel database, you've loaded your customers, but now how do you give access to that information to for your salespeople? So here we've got a smart search. Now we can go and say, well, I actually want to issue a quote to, let's say, this customer, for instance. All right, so I've called it up. I just typed it in. It's a smart search, and there they populate. Very important, it actually populates the customer code. That's the Pastel customer code. Now, why that's so important is because Pastel just understands codes. It actually doesn't understand a lot of text, almost no text, in fact. So when you issue your documents from this app, it then issues a CSV file as well. That CSV file you can now import, your finance team will import into Pastel. But the only way that Pastel would know what it's importing is if it has these very important master file codes. All right. So now the customer reference. So obviously your customer reference can be something that you type in specifically, like test quote, for instance, or you can actually use the slicer over here. You can predefine certain customer references just to enhance the ability to issue documents quicker. We're very big on optimizing the process to issue documents because we feel that the real value lies in the document itself being sent to the customer, not somebody just typing in information. Right. So let's say, for instance, we say, well, we're actually going to issue a quote on a multisport S23. When I just click that is a live slicer that actually populated that specific description for me over there. Now you can decide which date, etc. It auto populates on today's date, and I can say it's a 14-day expiry. It auto calculates that for me on the expiry. Now I'm going over to the details tab. The details tab in Pastel is also called the history lines. I just came from history headers. Okay, so over here we've got on the right hand side here a slicer of items. This is the items that sits in your master file within Pastel again. So we again have a search function over here. By the way, we can handle multi-stores. This is a one-store environment. That's why it only has a default store here at the top. Now I'm going to search for something like column, which is one of the big items that we do move in this company. Okay, so there I've selected that, and you see it actually landed that information for me over here. Very important. Again, the item code was landed. That item code is, as I just explained, as per the customer code. The item code is just as important because that's the only thing Pastel really understands. But look here, it actually populated for me this little value. So that value is the price list value that you've loaded in Pastel. Okay, so your salespeople don't have to have this big database on the side with customer numbers and customer information and also price lists, etc. This is all centralized within one environment, and you can then obviously just use it here within this environment. Okay, so that was the search. I can also use the slicer just to land information. So let's say, for instance, I want a battle rope over there, and I want a crunch bar, and I want this bumper plate. And as I click it, it just populates and lands that information. Then I can obviously go and say how many of each I want and change quantities. All right. Now, then we have also got a quicker feature, because as I just said, optimization and capturing quicker is so important for us, because ultimately you want to save the time of your team so they can have more time with the customer. Right. So here, for instance, is something called templates. So we identified that a lot of the quotes that you issue, that our customers issue, actually are repetitive quotes, and they have multiple lines of the same thing. So instead of having to type over the same thing over and over and over again, which actually increases the risk of you making mistakes, and also just wastes so much energy and time, we said, well, what if you just land the template? So this multi-sport S23, for instance, is a massive product. So I'll first land a bit of a more simplistic item. This is just the Wolford column. Here I can see there's an indication that this project is no longer relevant. The template environment sits external to Pastel, so that means whomever has loaded this actually has now not loaded it correctly, because Pastel no longer has that. So that's just indications of it's data checking before you issue, so that we make sure that before it comes into Pastel, it's actually something that is that Pastel will accept. So here you can see it's landed about 20 lines of information, including some standard terms and conditions, how many items, a price per unit, etc., and it's populated the whole thing for you. Now it's a quick little, just one button, and all these things are popular, and you can issue the quote. Now let's go actually over to what we're trying to issue, which is a multisport S23. You can see here we've got multisport S23. If I click that, this lands about 120 lines of information, and you can see it's quite a big quote, and ultimately it's actually detailed exactly components in it. Here are 70 items listed over here, that with exact details to how many per item, got nice descriptions. It's neatly packed with a spacing between each section, and everything is now populated and preloaded in here, meaning that your sales team again can just focus on the sale itself, not typing things over and over and spending a lot of time with that. We've got T's and C's, a lot of them here at the top. Nice cancellation fee stuff, and trains up to so many, and this is the training accessories and maintenance best practices. So you can really make this in a nice document, something that's kind of like, covers the legal side, it covers the finance side, it covers the actual detail side of inventory, etc., etc. Okay, so now once you're ready to actually issue this quote, you just go to process, and this will now do two things. It'll issue a PDF document, which you can send to your customer, and it'll issue a CSV document. That CSV document can be imported by your finance team into Pastel very quickly. So they also don't have to retype it, just waiting for it to come up. Okay, so there we go. Now it's come up with quotation. It's come up with very nice your own information. This is all populated from Pastel, by the way. All of this, your salesperson doesn't have to they don't have to type this. It comes from Pastel. If something changes over here, like for instance registration numbers or VAT numbers or telephone numbers, they will also come through it once you've changed it on Pastel. Also here we've selected a customer, but look here, everything is nicely populated over here, and it said, well, this is the address, this is the actual contact person, etc. And here at the bottom left, it actually has given you your bank details. That bank details is obviously the bank details as you've loaded them in Pastel again. So your salesperson can really issue quotes nicely, but you in your Pastel space can focus then on master file information, making sure that's accurate, and giving that through, and giving them the ability then to only focus on the quote and this issue and issue it quickly. Well, that's a quick overview of the MyCustomers app, and I hope you guys find that valuable, and also that you are able to use it in your Pastel space to enhance and improve the data handling of your sales team and of your customer documentation environment. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Bye.